This is a special edition of Kidnapping Chronicles for the month of June 2022. I am Susan Dunn Cobb, bringing you the news you really need to hear. At the moment, no child is safe, especially not the children and grandchildren of the man who has led us to believe these last several decades he is helping us to find our lost and stolen children. John Walsh, of America's Most Wanted, has developed global connections with the underworld sex trafficking of beloved children stolen through different child protection agencies throughout the nations of this world. So many of us watched this man for many years. He has operated a front organization called the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, NCMEC, which its primary purpose is to appear to find missing children. But Meghan Walsh, his own daughter, has discovered to her horror they are actually trafficking them. How did this happen? Hang on. The ride is going to be fast and wild. I'm going to connect a lot of the dots. John Walsh teamed up with Ernie Allen and Thorne, a database that supposedly identifies victims of child trafficking, to rescue them. Ernie Allen is an attorney who served as president and CEO of NCMEC for 23 years until 2012. And the ICMEC, that's the international version of the same thing, until 2014. Ernie was also former director of public health and safety for Louisville, Kentucky. In 2010, while Ernie Allen was president of NCMEC, he published that up to 71% of suspected child trafficking reports involved Backpage. But he and John Walsh gave Backpage a central role in efforts to curb trafficking. Is that not a contradiction in terms? The CEO of Backpage, which is a classified ad website, is Carl Ferrer. He was arrested for sex trafficking of minors through his website. Since his arrest, Mr. Ferrer has begun to give up names of other websites dealing with trafficking of children. Stay tuned for future developments. And we're still waiting to learn some of the people Ghislaine Maxwell is going to prison for. Convicted, but no people named. The girl really wants to live. Co-founder for Thorne is Ashton Kutcher and Demi Moore, Kutcher's former wife. Their motto is, "We build tools to defend children from sexual abuse." Thorne is also connected to Hank Asher. Hank Asher is the founder of Matrix and LexisNexis databases. He was known as the father of data fusion. Hank Asher was also part of the NCMEC. Using these databases and by receiving the donations from wealthy individuals, everything was entirely privatized. The police, our men in blue, were federalized. That means they have the feds as their oversight instead of the state. They use 1099s to get paid as independent contractors, off-duty, when they take kids. They remain in uniform, keep their equipment, their guns, and their chain of command. If they're doing an illegal arrest, meaning something that violates a citizen's constitutional right, they call in for the record, "I'm 1099, off duty." Keeping IRS happy, right? They might not perceive it in that light, but their victims sure do. If there's any video you watch, this is the one it needs to be: kidnapping. Traffickers use the databases which are linked into the hospitals. They want a picture of your infant, footprints, along with birth certificate and social security number. It all goes into the database owned by these people. As a child gets older in the school systems, they take school pictures. Those pictures go into the database. The children are tracked in this manner. They use the company Life Touch, which is a partner with NCMEC, and they, Life Touch, are based out of Israel. Now we bring in the Clintons. I'm taking this straight from Corey's digs. A lot of facts. Hillary was a co-founder of ASFA, 1997, the American Safe Families Act, which required states to terminate parental rights for children in foster care for 15 out of 22 months, and provided funding for efforts in encouraging adoption, as well as subsidies for adoptive children up through age 18. In other words, financial incentives for the village who would now be raising our children. In 1999, she launched the International Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Walsh has the national, she has the international. She partnered with the Polaris Project, or Polaris, who runs the National Human Trafficking Resource Center and Hotline, and is also a Clinton Global Initiative member to build an anti-trafficking approach replicable worldwide. Since the inception of the ICMEC, they have helped to create 4 national or regional missing and exploited children's centers around the world. One of those is the Global Missing Children's Network, GMCN, which happened to launch in 1998, the same year ICMEC launched, the international. There are 29 member countries on 5 continents allegedly working to help recover missing and abducted children. Stated goal, right? I'm putting a picture up. It's a photo of the board of directors provided on Wikipedia. Back middle with WEF, Branson with NNX IBM, and Terramar, which is Ghislaine Maxwell. L. Brands donates to NCMEC, that's Les Weiner tied to Epstein. Ernie Allen associated to NCMEC, ICMEC. Eve Branson, along with her son Richard Branson, and a lot of other familiar faces on this picture. But I posted Megan's text with the important names to help you connect it all. Bill and Hillary Clinton's ties with Richard Branson go way back, as well as forward. They are all currently working together on the 10 Island Challenge pilot program, which launched in 2012 and began with 10 islands and quickly evolved to over 20 islands, all throughout the drug and child trafficking transits in the Caribbean. Since their inception, they have now branched out to form alarming new partnerships, and they focus on the tourism and hotel industry. This 10 Island Challenge program, funded by GEF, an arm of the World Bank, OPEC, the Dutch Postal Code Lottery, and the Norwegian government, has allegedly set out to set up islands with solar farms and renewable energy. Most of these Caribbean islands have been deemed Tier 2 and Tier 3 and are subject to U.S. aid restrictions due to their level of human trafficking and subjecting large populations to modern slavery, as the documentation reveals in a report that I'm posting. Based on Hillary's portrayed background in fighting for children's rights, Why then would she wish to focus her energy on setting up a small solar farm to feed a block of homes on each of these islands, all of which include free solar systems to the government buildings, rather than fighting for the suffering children that live on these islands? Back to ICMEC, International Missing and Exploited Children. To understand the magnitude of ICMEC's reach, in the 2014 report for the United States Senate Committee on Foreign Relations pertaining to international parental child abduction, it states that ICMEC has trained law enforcement, they've trained them in 121 countries. They have reviewed laws in 200 countries and worked with parliaments in 100 countries to enact new law on child pornography. They built a global missing children's network to include 22 countries. They established national centers in multiple countries and created a regional center in Europe, serving 13 countries in the Balkan region. In addition, they met with 400 Arab leaders in Cairo to create an agreement on child protection. That really all sounds so good, doesn't it? Except for this little detail of overriding national sovereignty for civil, military, that's police, and laws, and hooking them all into their databases. I have a problem with globalism. Do you? Well, back to this. They also partnered with the Vatican, Mayo Clinic, and Il Telefono Azzurro to create the Declaration of Rome on Children's Rights. And finally, they entered into formal partnerships with Interpol and launched a global health coalition of pharmaceutical companies and healthcare institutions to address a public health crisis with child sexual abuse. In 2005, 6 years after the launch of ICMEC, all their good plans, it was estimated that 600,000 to 800,000 humans were trafficked across international borders each year, with 50% being minors, according to the U.S. Department of State. And according to the International Labor Organization, ILO, global profits made from forced laborers exploited by private enterprises or agents reach $43 billion every year, of which $31.6 billion was from trafficked victims. 9 years later, in 2014, the ILO reported forced labor in the private economy generates $150 billion in illegal profits per year, 3 times more than previously estimated. Follow the money. Financial connections to ICMEC, International Missing and Exploited Children. The board of ICMEC, past and present, nearly all have a work history with Big Pharma, biotech, and banks. And his national. This all ties into the International Center for Missing and Exploited Children in 1988. Richard Branson's mother, Eve Branson, was a founding board member of the ICMEC. Richard was the ICMEC founding sponsor and also was founder of the Virgin Group, a business involving travel and music. Branson is also a founder of Terra Mar, an environmental nonprofit focusing on ocean protection, in which Richard Branson is a submarine pilot with his own line of submarines. Underwater taxi? Got kids? Still? Another founder of the International Center for Missing and Exploited Children is Jeff Koons. He gives the appearance of being an American artist, but behind the scenes, he works with Lady Gaga, Marina Abramovich, and Damien Hirst. He is presently on the board of the ICMEC, yet he molests his own child, according to his wife. She states he's crazy as a loon and does bad things. I've posted this link for an extensive story on him. She mentioned a few of them. For 10 years on the website worldethicalfoundation.org, Richard Branson endorsed NXIVM with Keith Rainier. NXIVM is an American cult that engaged in sex trafficking, forced labor, and racketeering. In 2018, NXIVM's founder, Keith Rainier, and his associate, Allison Mack, were arrested and indicted on federal charges, including sex trafficking. Les Wexner of L Brands, in other words, Victoria's Secret, is a private sector donor to the NCMEC, the national one, John Walsh's. He handed Jeffrey Epstein powers over his finances, philanthropy, and private life. Wexner authorized Epstein to borrow money on his behalf, to sign tax returns, to hire people, and to make acquisitions. Wexner is a partner of John Walsh, National Missing and Exploited Children, and donates to the foundation. I will post a huge list at the end of this of all the partners of NCMEC and donors. They include Disney World, Facebook, Google, Uber, and Twitter. I may not last long on this social media after this expose. So if you see me go missing, go to Gab and Truth Social. I'll probably try the Pillowman too. So many social medias, so little time. This map gives you a clear picture of how close all of these places are together. Now, I've given a lot of information, and some of it may be hard for you to make the connections, but I will continue. Epstein Island, the Bahamas, Haiti, Paradise Island, Biden's Island are all in the same vicinity of each other. Laura Silsby, with her government position, was arrested initially for human trafficking during the big earthquake in Haiti, 2010. She was stealing kids that weren't orphans. And she was jailed in Haiti. But by the time she went to trial, the charges had been reduced to arranging irregular travel. She got a 6-month prison term and then was given a big promotion by the Clinton administration to head up and run, drum roll please, Amber Alert System through AlertSense. She changed her name to Laura Gaylor, from stealing kids to stealing more kids. Now, did you know foster kids are never put on the Amber Alert System? Maybe you didn't know that. They are never searched for and are considered runaways, and they're also considered an open bed for another child. I have personally seen runaway alerts on Walmart boards and on other sources for babies. Those are some advanced babies. Now a little background Meghan feels is relevant about her father and mother. Meghan Walsh states that her father, John, admitted to his sex addiction on Larry King Live. She also states she had to babysit her baby brother while her father was with his girlfriends. She relates many incidents of domestic violence. Her brother Adam also makes reference to his mother Reve's affairs. He remembers them even though he had only been 6 years old at the time. Meghan shares many things about home life on different interviews, but today's expose deals with what got her children taken away and all their lives put in danger. John Walsh's daughter Meghan has in the last few years discovered everything she never wanted to know when she began to just ask questions about her father. She chose to reveal what she learned to the world. When this happened, her children were immediately kidnapped. She loves her parents, regardless of what they're doing to her in retaliation. But she and her children are paying the ultimate price for her courage. This man she respected and loved has directed all the forces at his command, which are great upon the earth, to destroy his own flesh and blood. Apparently it is not the first child of his that he has done this to. His first son, Adam, has made repeated attempts to reunite with his dad, been rebuffed, and is now emerging from a stronger position to reveal that he never died. Almost, maybe, and many times, but somehow managed to placate his captors, managed to escape, managed to survive. His father and mother are refusing any communication with him, refusing to even investigate his claims. So he's made the decision to tell the world instead. Adam has his story to tell, and I will be sharing that in this broadcast also. As it turns out, John Walsh and men associated with him are the real reason no child is safe. But we are going to change that. Let Meghan tell you in her own words what is happening. She does so as a consummate professional. And I'm posting her YouTube video. John Walsh used the legal system to literally kidnap and steal Meghan's children, the latest being her 5-day-old infant, born in a home she believed to be a friend. Police and child protection workers had searched the neighborhood when she was pregnant, looking for where she was staying. But when they found her, it wasn't time for the baby to be born. They had to leave empty-handed. Later, they staked out the house she gave birth in, came in, and scooped up the healthy baby girl. I am posting that video. If you only see one video, this is the one you must watch. It's important for everyone to study the police in this video, so that it's understood how it will come down if it's decided you are going to have your children taken. Notice the professionalism. You get that whether you are famous, like Meghan Walsh, or just another law-abiding citizen trusting your government not to destroy the peace and security of your home. They've been doing this for about 2.5 decades. They have this down. The second thing I want you to notice in this video is the absence of any reason at all for removing a newborn baby. Notice the absolute violation of all due process rights. Notice the absence of all humanity given by the robotic men who will all claim in the future they were just doing their job. And notice the lack of all human rights for both mother and baby. Notice the excellent composure of a very brave but broken-hearted mother in the face of absolute evil attacking her. Ask yourself if you could do as well. Many cases I've researched have had their children taken with no court order or exigent circumstances at all. The worker grabbing children gets these orders from the judge later, and they're backdated to appear as though the case was in process. Another way is children are removed in secret proceedings called ex parte removals. Then parents are suddenly informed by SWAT team their kids are being taken into state's custody, all while the unsuspecting family is found sitting in the peace of their homes. There's no time for last words. Prepare your children now. Yes, there are many of those cases in my files, but Meghan Walsh is very different. She had begun to publicly reveal her father's business dealings, his connections, his behavior at home, and she had also begun to connect with Adam, her brother. A world of pedophiles operating throughout the globe depend on their ability to continue in the future only if Meghan doesn't. And so it has begun. We will use every bit of it to expose corruption in the highest places of government. We are coming for all the captured children that yet remain alive. I'm posting a video. Is this Adam Walsh? You will find this on a YouTube channel, Punished No More and Free to Protect. You got to see this video. The disappearance of a little boy is really why the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children was created, and all the rest that I mentioned earlier, the international and all the other coordination with the whole world about changing laws, big databases. Adam Walsh, his disappearance started that. 40 years of silence is over, though. For the little boy that was reported missing, a head discovered in a watery ditch was reported as his. There was never an autopsy report. No one has ever been accused for Adam being murdered. Adam, in the video, speaks slowly and carefully. He's been severely traumatized. He's suffered permanent physical damage. He has scars from being shot, stabbed, and he lives with a congenital heart condition from birth. He has a hole in the top of his head where Otis Toole stabbed him. The tiny boy negotiated with the monster by saying, "You don't have to kill me. I'm a better son than your son. I'll be your son." Otis listened to the boy's pleas, decided to let him live. Adam appears either slightly medicated or showing effects of traumatic brain injury. I'm also a TBI survivor, and I remember the early years of recovery. These effects, they could be for any number of reasons, but mostly he is clear and focused in all of his communication. Adam, now living in a nursing home, states he wants to get healthy. He's left harmful substances and habits, and he wants to be a spokesman for other foster kids in similar situations. He feels stronger all the time now, and he's able to tell everything. He's a natural redhead, which is what he was as a small child. In the video, he reveals some early favorite memories of his childhood with different visiting individuals who were at his home. He described features of the home they lived in and of his grandmother's home that only the real Adam would know. I wonder what his parents feel when they hear him share this. Oh, to be a fly on the wall. Adam has been and continues to be eager to give his DNA to prove who he is. The test went in the first time, and that one was lost. The second one, from the same company, was negative. Adam believes there were people who didn't want to be part of revealing the results, and they corrupted the results. He also says the results could even come up with darker information yet to be revealed. So stay tuned. Adam seems very confident and is more than willing to keep taking DNA tests, but probably not from that same company. There will be an answer. Adam also goes by another name, Lily, but states he wants to reclaim his identity. He says he has kept silent over the years and has been on his own for much of his life. Every 3 or 4 years, Adam states he's tried to come out and reveal who he is, but something happens. Sometimes it's a threat, or sometimes someone else gets hurt or gets killed. He states the only time he felt safe was between the ages when he was 8 to 14. He's 47 now. He states that between the ages of 6 to 8, he went through a lot of stuff that most people couldn't handle. Adam says what he remembers from a CPS worker was them slapping him in the face. To this day, he remembers a CPS worker as someone who slaps you in the face and says, "Get in the car." He was being dragged into the car to go into another placement, and he was screaming and fighting back. He didn't make it easy for them. He didn't want to be adopted. He went from family to family, but people were murdered along the way. He says Charlie Brand murdered a girl, put her head in a bucket, made him look at her head in the bucket so he wouldn't come forward or talk. If I was a little kid, that'd do it for me too. Adam says he tried to come out once with Finicum, and state police were shooting at the car with gas rounds. He mentions later in 2004, once again, someone tried to murder him, and he ran. In 1983, 2 years after his reported death, and there is a photo in this video, he was taken to the dentist. Teeth were removed and copies were made. He said this would happen when he would be given to a new family. He would immediately be taken to the dentist. I think it's important to realize the original coroner report on the DNA was done with Adam's second molar in the skull that was purported to be his. He said he received some schooling. When he was kidnapped, he was in the 2nd grade. When he was returned to school, he was put at a preschool level. 3 years held back. He doesn't really know why. He just suspects it was to hide him. He literally escaped from one predator to another until he was adopted. He tried to tell his adoptive parents, Barb and Ron, that he was Adam and wanted to go home. But every time he did, he would either get slapped in the face or they would say, "No, that's not you." He was never taken for any mental health exams to verify his claims, nor was he ever taken, ever, to the doctor. He decided to lie and state he was Michael, because of George Michael, and he wasn't Adam. The Michael he claimed to be has since been found and he's alive. Adam states he recently went down to Florida, met with him just to see how he was doing. And that man is a war hero. He discovered that about him. So young Adam basically changed his mind and decided he no longer wanted to try to go home because he was too scared they would try to hurt his family or try to get him again. Adam said whenever he would feel safe in a place, he didn't want to lose that. His adoptive parents are in their 70s and 80s, but they are still alive. He still talks to them on occasion, stating they were nice, they didn't treat him horribly, but they kind of ignored him. He's called his real father once or twice. When John Walsh answered, Adam said, "Hi, this is Adam Walsh, your son." John said, "You must have the wrong number," and he hung up the phone. The other times Adam tried calling, he couldn't get through. So after this, he decided to go to Florida because with his medical history, he could get proof. It was obvious to him at that point that the family did not want to help to bring him back to his actual identity. He thought, medically, I was born with problems and I can prove that. He was born with bicuspid aortic valve, a birth defect. He decided to recover his identity with his medical condition. That worked. Medical records don't lie, and the two medical facilities in the states of Washington and Florida communicated with one another regarding his condition. By going to Florida, he verified to the doctors he was Adam Walsh through the medical record of diagnosis and treatment. I'm going to go back, way back in the story, to his kidnapping on that day. The day he was kidnapped, his memories remain vivid. He states he was at his grandmother's, and John, his father, picked him up, went to where the horses were to get his mother, and went to work. His mother then went to the mall at Sears. She went to Lamps, and he went to check out the new arcade game. A fight ensued in the store. The younger ones weren't getting a chance to play. The ages were from about 6 to 12. Adam saw a young girl about his age wander off to another aisle, and Otis Toole made advances toward her. Young Adam approached Otis and told him, "That's not appropriate. What do you think you're doing?" He grabbed her hand and took her back up to the arcade. Then, the security guard kicked all of the children out of the building. Adam was among the kids kicked out of the building, all of them away from the parents. Adam took the young girl to a blue van outside and told the mother-looking person who appeared responsible for her, excuse me, to tell somebody that something was going to happen. Adam knew this man was going to do something. Adam remembers going back into Sears, then getting into the vehicle with Otis, and then disappearing after that to another place. Adam's last word to his mom that day had been, "I love you, Mom." He said it right after getting permission to play at the arcade games. He said she was very quiet that day because of an argument they had the day before. She said nothing. It had been in a car ride the day before where he, his mother, and Campbell, that was the mother's boyfriend, were all going to the water park. And his mother asked Adam, "Well, we're going to dump John to the street, and I'm going to go with Campbell. What do you think of Campbell being your dad?" Adam replied, "I'm going to throw you to the street, and I'm keeping John." When Otis kidnapped him, he was 6 years old. To survive, Adam became the perfect boy for everyone and a son for Otis. He was the one who could be ordered out of a catalog and was shopped around to perverts everywhere. He went from Otis to others in Colorado, where he states he was stuffed underneath a house to hide him. He escaped from them, stating he continued west from there. He was in danger of losing his life on numerous occasions and has been hurt a lot over the years. Now, he didn't know he was going west at 6 years old. He's an older man thinking back. Figured it out. He shares memories of being put into foster homes after escaping Tool and being put into lower level of schooling. He states a lot of this was due to the fact that things were already going on in his home as a young child. Then he was kidnapped by a murderer and a career criminal, Otis Toole. He didn't get to a really safe house where he felt safe until he got to Washington State and in a home with other children. He said it was a child safe house or a station where they were transporting children. We're talking trafficking. Adam says that after everything that has happened, he still doesn't hate his parents. He misses John, but he doesn't miss Reve, the mother. Living with her, he states she was, well, very loopy. He said she'd be fine and then start acting weird. He said he always felt like they were making fun of him. Now, it wasn't clear who the they were, because he was with Campbell and his mother, and also with John and his mother. As he got older and matured, he realized one was having an affair, but that had nothing to do with him. But it did make it so he didn't want to be with them. He thinks he might have been able to go back home years ago, but he didn't want to have the burden of them breaking up because of him. It's not clear to me when I listen to the video what he means by that. He talks about the White House website having an Adam Walsh bill for adoption. That makes him kind of feel good. And a Lilly law also in Oklahoma. He has both names. Meghan has made the statement when asked if she believes Adam is really her brother or not, that it's not her responsibility to find out if Adam is their son, but it's the parents. They have refused to do that. What would any parent do in a situation like this? Would they not want to investigate on any level at all? You tell me. Look at the pictures, the mock-ups. What must they think when they see these pictures? This is a mock-up of Adam and his mother. Pretty amazing, isn't it? And this is Adam mixed with his father's picture, John Walsh. Adam side by side with mom, half faces put together, and the same thing with Dad. It's freaky. The kidnapping video of newborn baby Esther offers proof of the soulless generation who now dictates anything and everything that happens to us in our lives. In case you didn't know, every one of us is dealing with this. I won't refer to the Godwin principle because I really believe it's far worse. This is more of a last days thing. Matthew 24:21 in the Amplified says, "For at that time there will be a great tribulation, pressure, distress, oppression, such as has not occurred since the beginning of the world until now, nor ever will again." Now, whatever it is you believe in your particular church denomination regarding this verse, I'm going to propose a truth that for these small children who are being tortured unto death in pedophiles' bedrooms, that for them this verse would surely apply. For those who champion the cause of human rights in a civil society, this video is important information. It demonstrates not only how they will remove your children, but how they will remove your guns, your elderly, your disabled, your church members. One by one, it will be very professional. Probably 1099. One world government would demand absolute obedience to all orders, including genocide of certain people groups, disability groups, age groups, political groups, religious groups, and anyone not walking lockstep under direct orders of the latest edict coming down from on high. You're already in training right now, beginning with the first test of the mask, moving on to control on air flights, closing of businesses, and to where we are right now, enforced medical procedures called by another name, but causing our early deaths. We're all being trained to accept full control of our lives in hospitals, including having no visitors up to the moment of death. We're learning to submit our children to pure insanity in schools or face losing those children immediately. We're learning to stay inside when ordered. All of it is a loyalty test to see how soon the masses are in full compliance. It's like a social experiment or social engineering at its zenith. When you look to China, North Korea, or other communist-controlled countries, do not see them as any different than us. If you have a hard time making that connection, just watch the kidnapping video again. Are we there yet? Meghan Walsh is a very brave woman who might understand better than most of us what she's talking about and what she's taking on. Perhaps she hopes her father has a modicum of love for her that will cause him to relent. My experience in life is Satan has no mercy, but I concur love is a powerful force against evil. I pray for Meghan whatever the outcome. Her small children are suffering terribly and cannot be rescued at this time by anyone. The newborn, Esther, we hope is in a better situation than they. My hope in bringing this special edition of Kidnapping Chronicles is to help Meghan make the world aware of what we are all facing. She's risking everything to tell us. We should listen and share her story. We are the media. We are the change. We are the resistance to the New World Order. God said we would exist in the last days. He wrote about us thousands of years ago and peppered our story throughout his holy word, the Holy Bible. Who's to say that maybe little Esther was born for such a time as this, just to let us know we were too. Thank you for subscribing, liking, sharing, commenting. Meghan's being kept destitute, has had all her accomplishments, home, and income removed. She's facing the same type of conservatorship Britney Spears just escaped. Yeah, Daddy Walsh is really scared of his girl. And she's being prevented from gaining any stability at all in order to keep her children from her. They're slated for adoption very soon. The system in place demands a parent attend multiple appointments, visitations, court, classes, etc., so that there's no way a person could keep a job also. All of these things they order, they cost money. In addition, and just to make Meghan's torture extra special, they have 3 children in Finger Lakes in New York for the summer and 1 in Florida, making visitation impossible with both. Oh yeah, they know what they're doing. And now the world is getting an opportunity to see what really happens when it's their child who's taken. familyfarmandfaith@gmail.com is Meghan's PayPal account. Thank you.